Hey everyone, James Lynch here doing a quick reaction video to the news that Renato Moicano will welcome Brian Ortega up to 155 at lightweight to fight at UFC 326, and that's going to be taking place in Las Vegas, Nevada. This according to Leo Yermes, hope I'm saying that right, great journalist over there. You can see as we hit the Google Translate, I was able to find out that Moicano was preparing to face Ortega March 7th, UFC 326. This fight makes a lot of sense. We knew that Ortega was going to move up. He's had a lot of trouble making weight at 145 over the last couple fights. Remember the Aljamain Sterling matchup? He looked like he was on death's door. So good to see Ortega fight at 155. I think that's a much better weight class for him. And like the title says, this is a rematch. Maybe you guys forgot, but way back in July of 2017, Ortega and Moicano fought at featherweight back when Ortega was 11-0. They were both 11-0. And Moicano was actually the favorite, and it was a bit of an upset at the time as Ortega gets the second round submission win over Moicano in round 3. This was way back at UFC 214. Cormier and Jones 2. That's how long this has been. So, and they were 26 and 28 at the time. Now a bit of a different story. Moicano, much older. He is 36 now. He'll be 5'11 with a 72-inch reach as he's taking on Brian Ortega, who's 34, 5'8 with a 69-inch reach. So Moicano going to be a little bit taller. Also going to have the reach advantage as well in this fight, but it's Ortega who's just a few years younger than Renato Moicano. And you look at it there, Moicano looking to get back on the winning track, had that nice win streak, 4 straight fights, then got the last minute title call against Islam Makhachev, ends up losing in the first round, and then a disappointing fight there against Beneil Dariush, losing that one by decision. That was a fight where I believe, they were both dead even as far as the betting odds go, but see if Moicano can get back on the winning track. I don't think he's ever had 3 straight losses in his career as I'm looking at his resume right now. And you look at Moicano, 10 wins by submission, 2 knockouts. He's also been knocked out 3 times. So the ground game is going to be put to the test. One of those submission losses is to Ortega. So can Moicano get some revenge in this fight? That's what's going to be interesting about this one. Ortega, it's been a bit of a rough go, dating all the way back to the fight against Max Holloway back in 2018. Did get the win over Korean Zombie in 2020. Lost to Volkanovski, but if you remember in that fight, he almost submitted Volkanovski in that one. Wasn't able to get it done. Had the shoulder injury against Yair Rodriguez, bounces back against Rodriguez, then loses to Diego Lopez in a fight that did take place at 145. Remember, they tried to make it at lightweight back at UFC 303. Doesn't end up happening. That's the one where Lopez had to fight Dan Ige on 48 hours notice, and then he fights in 2025. But if you remember the weigh-in for that one, looking a little bit rough against Aljamain Sterling, ends up losing that fight. If we go look at the stats for that last fight against Aljamain Sterling, I want to say Sterling, won that fight pretty decisively there. Actually, very much decisively. Look at the difference in strikes here. 124 to 55, 3 takedowns as well. So it was time for Ortega to move up, and we can take a look at those weigh-in photos for the fight against Sterling. You just see how drained he was. Let me just find that right now. If we look at the photos there, he didn't look good, right? Remember this? It was pretty tough. So I'm curious to see how he looks. This was also a video they had too. You can see there looking pretty rough at the weigh-ins there. Look at him there when they do the face-off. Not looking so good. So I am curious to see how he looks at 155. I think that's a much better weight class. As far as a pick, this is a tough one because, again, Ortega's a little bit younger. I would say, Moicano does get hit a lot. If you look at his striking defense stats, I don't think they're that great. But he won't have to worry about that against Ortega, who, primarily a ground guy, right? So if you look at Moicano's striking defense, at 59%, actually higher than I thought it would be. But if you look at Ortega, his striking defense is only 49% too, but takedown average is 0.93, sub average is 0.9. When was Ortega's last submission win? I feel like it's been a bit. I guess the Yair Rodriguez fight in 2024, but hasn't had a ton of them as of late. So don't know if we'll see a repeat of the first fight on Ortega's end. I'm leaning a little bit towards Moicano in this one, just because, again, mainstay in the weight class. Has fought some pretty good opposition for the most part. I think he had a pretty, off night against Dariush. I mean, we'll see, how he looks in this next one, but I think we could see a better Moicano in this one as well. And we can't ignore the Benoit Saint-Denis fight. Like, that was a really good win, and that was only September of last year. So if he can get back to the guy that fought Saint-Denis or the guy that fought Jalen Turner, I think he can certainly win this. We'll see about Ortega, but again, hasn't really been using the ground that much, hasn't fought a whole lot either, right? Had the 2 fights in 2024, just the 1 fight this year. So we'll see there. But I'm kind of leaning like Moicano decision. I'll do an early look preview on this one, but I know Moicano's a little bit older. But I do think that he's shown that he can beat some decent opposition at lightweight. And I don't know if I can say the same about Ortega, because again, we just have such a small sample size. Like just the one win over Yair Rodriguez. Like he's losing to good guys, right? Like he's losing to Volk and Aljamain Sterling and Lopez. These are all contenders at featherweight, but you're moving up a weight class now. Guys are going to be a bit bigger, a bit stronger. I'm curious to see if Ortega has put on any muscle for this fight. And this fight, we got a bit of time there. UFC 326. In fact, I think this is the first fight that's kind of announced for this one. Because this is all the way in March. Oh no, this is the Holloway Oliveira card. Never mind, my bad. So yeah, that's a nice fight that they've added to this, in my opinion. Two pretty decent names in the weight class. Like I said, interested to see how Ortega does at 155. We've seen a lot of fighters in the past move up a weight class and find a lot of success. Robert Whittaker being one of the most notable ones. He's having trouble at featherweight, ends up going to not featherweight, welterweight, and then moves up to middleweight, and he ends up winning the title. So we'll see. I think this is going to be a fun jiu-jitsu match. Good for Moicano to get some revenge. Good for Ortega. Decent name. But one thing I got to mention in this video at the time of recording this, what's going to happen with Arman? Like he's running out of opponents right now. I know Arman's got the grappling match, but like the only guy left for him to fight right now that's ranked, like everyone else here is pretty much booked. I think Darius is going to welterweight. That was kind of the rumor. Chandler's going to wait for Connor. You basically got Torres and Ziam now with Moicano off the board. Moicano fighting Ortega. You could have also done Ortega and Arman too. That would have been an okay fight. But yeah, if you're Arman looking to fight someone, everyone is now booked up except for Torres and Ziam, which I don't think he's going to want to have those fights. He should probably fight Gamrot if he wants to stay active. I've had some people in the comments on previous videos being like, what do you mean? Why would he, Gamrot got destroyed in his last fight. Yeah, but who else is he going to fight? Unless Arman wants to wait again. And this is a guy that has just been a little bit inactive because of all the situations that happened last year. So yeah, I think this, again, I bring this up because with this fight booking, it narrows down the opponents there for Arman Tsarukyan. And hopefully he gets an MMA fight here soon, because I think that's what he needs to be doing to get, in the good graces of the UFC and getting a title shot there. But yeah, very interesting fight here for Moicano and Ortega. And dare I say too, kind of like this is kind of like a must-win fight for both, right? The implications here, if Moicano wins, right, back on the winning track, maybe he's got one more run in him to get to that contender spot, or at least get close, right? Because prior to him fighting Islam, he was kind of getting close to that contender spot. The St. Denis win was huge. And with Ortega, it's just about consistency. Like, again, he's not won back-to-back fights since 2018. It's been a while. I think the new weight class will help. He gets a win here over a guy in Moicano, former title challenger. That's going to look good in the division. He'll be nicely situated in the rankings, and he can maybe go on a run here. We'll see. Like I said, I don't know if Ortega will go on like a Robert Whittaker run here, but I do think he'll perform a lot better at 155, not having to cut that weight. Just the question is, how does he deal with the size and strength of some of these guys in this weight class? So we'll see. But again, if you didn't miss it, or if you didn't hear it before, Renato Moicano decision is going to be my pick in this one. So that is the way I'm leaning. So let me know in the comments which side you're leaning on this fight. Who's your pick? Was this the fight to make? And where do you think Arman fits in this now that we've got most of the ranked lightweights booked up? Let me know. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.